professional or amateur, you know, whether it's just a one-time Boy Scout project or something that somebody did for a living. How is it used? Does anything move? Is there a cutting edge? Is it, you know, does it walk across the room? Does it stay in one place? Do I have to crank it? If I put my hand on it, usually you can get an idea of how it's used by putting your hand on it, okay? Now, you can't walk through a museum and do that, but in this case you can. Not my museum. Sometimes there's residue, some evidence of the material that was used, it was used with. This hammer here, can you see how that's kind of mushroomed out? The head of that? What does that tell you? Was it cracking walnuts or what?
It was used a lot.
It was used a lot.
Just hitting something harder.
Hitting something hard, and this is probably fairly soft metal. Okay, this is probably a softer metal than this, which is cast. Who used it and where? Male, female. Again, all those things I talked about before. Different occupations. You know, blacksmith made this, but probably a carpenter used it. Right? Wealthy or working class, cultural, ethnic. I think I discussed that. Oftentimes you'll see elements, particular design elements that can tell you, give you an idea of its time and place. There's classical elements, and that's in architecture. Did you guys do architecture yet? Didn't you do something with architecture? I think you're going to. They do use that a lot, just to say, well, those are classical. Those get used a lot. Classical being stuff from ancient Rome and Greece, primarily. But anyway, there's lots of, furniture is really big on that. There's elements that you can look at and go, well, they used that at a certain time period and maybe in a certain place. And that helps place it in, you know, even just design, just certain designs. And some of it's hard to even, you know they're not, this is not a 1960s picture frame, you know, these are mid-19th century picture frames. They go with the picture. You wouldn't, see, your picture of Nirvana up there. You wouldn't put your poster. I mean, you could, but they would be of two different time periods. Nirvana's probably really old, isn't it? I was trying to think of something hip, but just not.
A classic never goes out of style.
Oh, like Nirvana.
Right.
Okay. I was going to say Hendrix, I mean, that would be more classical. Okay, and then finally, all these questions that you're answering, put it in the perspective of a museum, okay? Now, you were in number one, so you'll be going through the exhibits, and you'll get an idea of, you're looking at the object, you want to know the story that is coming, that you can get from it, and then how can I interpret that and express that in exhibits and maybe writings. Maybe you become an expert in handmade hammers, and so you write that up and you publish that. But for us in the museum, it's to include it in the collection, and whether it's telling a story that we want to share. We have a collections policy that kind of states the type of things that we're interested in interpreting. Okay.
And you can use these guidelines too for your projects as well if you find something that would be significant to what you're doing to tell the story of what you want your project to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then just real briefly, there's a classification. We classify things after you've, what you're getting ready to do is just the very start, the classification that ends up in our collection. Okay. Chenal's Nomenclature is a book that we use for that. Provenance is a word you should know. It's what is known of the object's history, where did it come from, who made it, who gave it to who, whose tool chest was that in, and then who brought it here. And then there's sources for verifying that, and when you document your findings, what the culmination is, and I guess if you're doing a project of some sort or just putting it into our collection. So what I'd like you to do is reveal your object. It's kind of like swing, and see if you go down that list on your paper and see if you can answer the questions, and therefore determine what it is.
Yeah.
I'm Brad, by the way.
Yeah, hidden well. I don't know. Do you think it has something to do with it?
Do you have any words on it?
I don't see any words.
Oh, something in there.
Maybe we know who it is. That's the name. I would have to say that to be a pretty good guess. As far as
Yeah, it is me.
so, it's REUTHE.
Like a penny.
And then I don't know what that. If that's a letter. If that's even. Maybe it's not even a letter. Maybe it's just a.
Like a diamond.
Question mark.
That's fine. We're just trying to figure out. We were over. Yeah, one group.
Maybe not necessarily.
Just like we ended up.
Maybe 12.
But that's, so next group, Jody will come down.
Yes, yes, he's coming.
That's it, yeah, mass produced.
Well,
Necessarily not as far as height themselves. I don't necessarily know, but I think it'd be hard to, I can't make something that, like, for a blacksmith to do something like that.
It's like white powder, something made of chalk. So I guess that's teacher use.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why we would
How was it you?
it would be plain.
Yeah.
Maybe it does.
Things that you.
It's like a serial number though. Okay, so it's made it.
couple more minutes.
Secondary inscriptions.
Yeah, well, I'll just do something real simple, but you know, it's almost harder to describe.
You know that.
I don't know how
Words.
there are some good parts.
Wait, if we turn it this way.
Who made it and what inscription dates and migration marks? Well, the serial number.
Or an E.
It's right there.
I know I make funny expressions, but.